Get your back hip into it.
And now it's time for football.
Yes, sir.
Enid Plainsmen Football with Steve and Steve.
Good.
Hello again, I'm Steve Keim with the City of Enid. Welcome to Plainsmen Football 2017 with Steve and Steve. Steve Keim along with Coach Steve Hayes. Coach, this is our third year in providing a Plainsmen Football Coaches Show. Where does the time go?
Boy, and that's the truth. It's amazing to think that we're starting our third season with the show and with the kids in the season. It's going to be our best one, I think, show-wise and season-wise.
Well, we're looking forward to the 2017 season, and we thank you for the opportunity to be in your home and the partnership between the City of Enid and Enid Public Schools. And Dr. Darrell Floyd, we appreciate his partnership. And so here we are. We have the set. We've got our helmets and we've got mics. We're ready to talk football. And August, that time of year, here we go. Well, last weekend or last week, you had the scrimmage opportunity with Bixby. We'll talk about the game coming up this Friday with Guthrie, but let's talk about the scrimmage and the highlights. I understand that ran the ball pretty well, had some high averages, if you will, on running the ball. Tell us overall your thoughts of the scrimmage with Bixby.
You know, we started out a little bit slow in the game-like portion where we went against Bixby and Mustang. I think we were nervous, and it was pretty intense, and our kids were just a little tentative. When we got to the game-like against Bixby, we played two 10-minute quarters against them. We played really well. Offensively, we averaged almost 9 yards a snap. We had 251 yards. In essence, it would have been a half a football. So to average what would have been 500 yards in a game against a quality opponent like Bixby is very encouraging. You know, Will and Jaden America, Will Phillips, and Khalid Lee all ran the ball well. Mason Scrimmager was very efficient at quarterback. We had our first drive, we had a 4th and 10 from their 32-yard line, and he threw a great pass for a touchdown for our first score. And then we had a 65-yard screen pass for a touchdown to wrap up our second drive. And so we had both the big plays as well as moving the chains. Our defense did a great job against their starters on a 4th and goal, holding them to preserve the lead at 14-7. And really our starters won that portion of the scrimmage 14-7. They scored one with about a minute left to go in the scrimmage with their backups to tie it at 14-14. But overall, I feel like we really were the more successful team against the 3-time defending state championship program, which is very exciting.
And Coach Hayes, we want to remind everyone during this segment here, when we talk about the highlights, we'll have some footage of the previous game. So instead of just talking about it, we'll be able to show those on videotape for you, some of those highlights, and then Coach Hayes can kind of do his play-by-play of those as well. So we look forward to having those highlights of the previous game. Coach, you've been preparing. You've had the summer. You've had August training days, if you will, or practice. Overall, tell us a little bit about how did things go? Everybody's nice and healthy. How does it look as you go into week one?
You know, we by far feel like we're the most prepared for the start of the football season since I've been here. And a lot of it is because the coaches and kids have worked so hard in the last 8 months to prepare for this season, for this first game, whether it was competing in the off-season and getting bigger and faster and stronger, the work we did football-wise this summer with team camp and 7-on-7 and spring football. And so, you know, going into this week, I think we feel pretty good about the game and our season, and I think deservedly so, because that's the payoff for working hard and doing the things you need to be doing. And our kids have really paid the price this year.
And there's probably that time right now that you're a little tired of practicing, going against your own teammates. You're ready to change faces.
Oh yeah,
you're ready to play somebody else.
Even just scrimmaging in Bixby this past Friday was such a welcome change to what we've been doing, and really to be able to see our progress at this point and where we're at. You don't really know that until you go against somebody else, and so you know we'll have another test this Friday night in non-district against Guthrie. As we prepare for our first district game against Putnam City West in 4 weeks.
Very good. Well, thank you again for joining us for Plainsmen Football with Steve and Steve, the 2017 edition. As Coach Hayes mentioned, it's just, I'm sorry, the calendar just moves too quick for this to be our third season together talking about Plainsmen Football. And one of the features that we like to include each week is to introduce you to a number of student athletes that are Plainsmen Football players this year. And before we introduce our student athlete of the week, right here at the set. We'd like to take this time to introduce you to some of the other Plainsmen football players for 2017.
My name's Velazquez. I'm a defensive end, number 60, and I'm in the class of 2019.
My name's Jerra Williams. I'm number 24. I play wide receiver and corner. I'll be a senior this year.
Brady Evans, 66, right guard. My name's Seth Ellis, number 3. I play wide receiver and corner. I'm a senior.
Hi, I'm Brady. My number's 69. My position is right tackle, and I'm
Welcome back to Plainsmen Football with Steve and Steve. Thank you for joining us today for our weekly coaches show, and we're really excited about the 2017 season. And I just keep hearing this phrase, are you ready for some football? And I believe this young man coaching between us is ready for some football. Hope you enjoyed our segment where we feature some of the other Plainsmen players. We'll continue to do that in the show, and we'll do it throughout the week and the season, I should say, where we introduce you to everyone that's putting in the effort to be a student athlete. Well, the gentleman to my left this morning is Austin Whitehead. Austin, welcome to the Coach's Show. Appreciate you being here. I know you were here last year. Well, left hand, let's do that. Yeah. Okay. You threw me off there, but as big as you are, I'm going to do what he says. No, thank you. Welcome to the Coach's Show. We're glad to have you back this year. Coach, he's all yours.
Yeah, we're real proud of Austin. Austin has had an outstanding offseason, overcame an injury in basketball, a surgery, and a broken foot, and still managed to put on 20 pounds of muscle, improve his speed, and really just improve as a football player. And so, Austin, why don't you share a little bit about what you did this summer to prepare for the season and prepare ultimately for your future as a player?
It started out working out at Summer Pride this year, being there every morning at 7 in the morning, working on running and getting stronger, putting on more weight, more muscle with benching and squatting, power cleans. And then I also went to a lot of different prospect camps this year.
Yes.
I went to about, 12 different camps.
Explain to the people that are watching what a prospect camp is.
And excuse me, Austin, can you tell us where those were located at as well?
They were kind of all over. I've been to Tulsa, Kansas, OSU, Memphis, Arkansas.
Okay.
Memphis,
yeah.
So just kind of all over.
So it's not a Garfield County deal.
No, he really did the circuit this summer.
Very good.
Yeah. But it's a prospect camp where you go, you normally run your 40, maybe your 5-10-5 for linemen, and then you do drills with the offensive line coach. And then once you do that, you kind of go into the one-on-one session to see how you do against other people from all over.
Sure, and
all
really,
over other states.
Really, it's kind of a job interview for a scholarship opportunity at the different major universities because you're actually working with their line coach.
Yep.
Kind of interviewing with them by the way that you work and how coachable you are, and I think you really improved by doing that.
Yes, sir.
Because of the competition. And you get some good coaching from a lot of different coaches.
Yeah.
It's good to hear it, I think, from a different perspective. What are your thoughts going into the season this year, being a senior Plainsman, and kind of you've been a part of the program for these 3 years and a 3-year starter for me since I've been here. What do you feel about this season?
I feel like this should be our best season that I'll have my 3 years starting here. I think this could definitely be the very best one we'll have. We've been practicing really hard. The effort is getting a lot better. So competitiveness, I think it'll be a really good season this year.
Yeah, me too. Now, I know you have a lot of big plans for the future. What do you think you would like your first year after graduating from high school to look like? What are you going to do?
I want to go play college football for sure. I've got the 4 offers from Northwestern Oklahoma State, Southwestern Oklahoma State, Fort Hays State, and Emporia State.
Okay.
So, I'd like to go study physical therapy, sports medicine in college.
Okay, great.
So, not sure where I want to go yet. But
Yeah, that's great. That's great plans.
I have a muscle in my shoulder that's really been acting up, and man, do I need a quick physical therapist. So, Austin, as you're a guest on the show today, what is the one major takeaway from the experience of being an athlete, a student athlete? Someone that maybe can't relate, maybe they've just been focusing on one aspect of their life, but what is a key takeaway? Is it the camaraderie? Is it the relationships? What is that?
I would say the relationships is a big part. When you just go to school, you just kind of have those guys.
Sure.
But when you play a sport, you come together as one, and it just makes the relationships that much better. And, you can count on those guys, and they count on you, too. to be there and do your job. So.
There's something about lining up on the line and everybody else is lined up and you run and you hear the whistle and stuff like that. So, Coach, any other thoughts as we close out this segment?
You know, the offensive line is kind of a team within a team. They have their own culture and camaraderie in what they do. And I just got to say, you know, Austin, as the elder statesman, they have a weekly team dinner at his house. And talk a little bit about one or two things that maybe happens at that team dinner that would be interesting to the people out there listening.
Well, we start out, you know, we like to eat, so
that's what we
start out with. But actually, last week we swam for the first time, so that was pretty interesting, getting to see some of the line go off the diving board.
I can imagine there was a lot of water displaced.
Oh yeah. By the end of the night, that pool was pretty low.
Austin, as people are watching you on the field, what number do you wear so they'll know that's Austin Whitehead?
73.
73. All right. Very good. Austin, thanks for joining us on our student-athlete segment today. We appreciate that. Coach Steve Hayes has a supporting cast of 8 or 9 assistant coaches?
10 coaches total, including myself.
Okay,
Yep.
So he's got 9 assistant in that supporting cast. And let's meet some of those assistant coaches right now.
Coach Cameron Conder. Position I coach would be quarterbacks, offensive coordinator, and assistant head coach. I teach PE at Hayes Elementary School for Principal Lynn Murphy. My favorite movie is Remember the Titans. The person that is influencing me the most in my life would be Jim Rattay. Coached with him in Arizona for a number of years. He's a Hall of Fame head coach, and talk to him on a weekly basis, and gives me a lot of insight into the coaching profession, and he impacts my life on a weekly basis.
My name's Cash Conder. I coach receivers here at Enid High School. I do not teach at the school. I am a sub, though. My favorite movie, I would say, is Remember the Titans. And my most influential person is going to have to be my father. He's taught me some great life lessons, teach me that I'm not the only one with my last name. I got to carry and set a good example for my younger brothers and others around me.
Welcome back to Plainsmen Football for 2017. Steve Keim along with head football coach Steve Hayes. Coach, I like our new set design. The ETN team has really gone beyond, well, they always raise the bar on what we do. And I know that you've been trying to raise the bar, especially with Plainsmen Football.
Yes,
but
sir.
we appreciate the set. And I want to say special thanks to our friends out at On Deck. They helped us out last year, but Gary and Jeff Williams provided with our helmets that we have here, shiny little Oklahoma State helmet. But we appreciate
Those are great.
Gary and Jeff Williams out at On Deck for helping us with our set today. Well, you can see we got the chalkboard behind us, and you know, back in my leather helmet football days, Coach, we'd look at a chalkboard. We had a chalkboard, but we've introduced a new segment this year on Plainsmen Football called Chalk Talk. And the first thing, we want to talk a little bit about the inner workings on a coach's mind when it comes to game situations, if you will. So here's the first scenario, if you will.
Yes,
What determines the first play of scrimmage? Say they've kicked off, you've got the ball, offense, you've been practicing all week. Do you just flip a coin, say, hey, let's go with this one on our first play, or how is that determined?
You know, one of our offensive goals is to score on the first drive of each half, and so we treat those drives very carefully as far as what we do, because we think it sets the tone for the rest of the game.
Sure does.
And the rest of the half and the second half. And so, you know, when we do that, we look at the predictability of the defense. Some defenses are much more predictable in the way that they line up, and the more predictable they are, the greater risk you can take on the first play because you know where they're going to line up. And so if you know where defense is going to be and you have a pretty good idea where they're going to line up, you're going to call a play that you feel like you're going to have a high level of success because of that. If you don't know exactly where they're going to line up because they're more multiple in what they do, you're more conservative, I think, in your first play calling to see what their plan is for you in that first series. So one thing that we've discovered because of how fast we go is we usually can tell after that first drive how defense is going to line up for the rest of the game. And so we want to use all of our formations in that first drive so we can get a sense of how they're going to line up. We come back on the sideline after that first drive. We look at the video. It gives us a pretty good idea of what we want to call for the rest of the game based on the way that they line up, and that's usually pretty consistent after that point.
I appreciate you sharing that philosophy, is that we have the mindset that we're going to score in this first series.
Yes.
Because I could be sitting on row 27 there at Selby Stadium thinking, okay, now what are they going to do on the first play? Well, you should know that the first play is all part of the strategy. We're going to score in this first series.
That's right.
Well, let's flip it on the other side. You've kicked off. Okay, now so you're going to open the series on defense.
Sure.
How does that change? You have to make that adjustment to the way they line up, but how do you make that adjustment?
Well, as you get further into the season and you have more game film, you have a pretty good idea of what offensive tendencies are, and I think it's really driven by their offensive tendencies in the first drive of the game, what they do typically, because there's a lot of times even coaches don't realize it, but they have patterns in the way they call plays. And then from a formation standpoint, what their tendencies are. I think that drives more what we do on defense at first play based on the way that they line up and what they've done in the past couple of games than anything else. And I think you stay pretty base and fundamental typically on that just because you're kind of waiting to see what their game plan is.
And Coach Hayes, that leads me into the next question on how much does the scouting report, that plays a huge role in your preparation to make these type of decisions?
There's no doubt. We've already had our meeting with the kids this morning before the taping of the show, going over our game plan, the scouting report, evaluating individual players, and what they're going to do on either side of the ball. And so, and we'll coach to that all week long. Our practice scripts in practice these next 3 days will be for that. And we'll practice our first series multiple times over the course of the week as far as the plays we're going to run, so the kids who are nervous on that first game Friday night have a comfort level with what we're calling. We don't want to surprise them by what we call.
Again, thank you for joining us for Plainsmen Football 2017 with Steve and Steve. Coach Steve Hayes alongside today. And as you notice on our backdrop, we've got a chalkboard, and we're in the segment called Chalk Talk. And Coach, the other feature I wanted to introduce this year is a little bit about the terminology.
Sure.
When people have played the game, even for us way back when, played the game, terminology has changed. And if you would, you hear the phrase touchback.
Yes.
And half the people in the stands say, yeah, I think I kind of sort of know what that means. But give us the true definition of a touchback.
The definition is different in Oklahoma football, in college football, and in NFL football as far as the way it applies. In Oklahoma, we go by the National Federation of High School rules. And in the National Federation rules, when a ball is punted, kicked off, or a field goal attempt is made, if that ball lands in the end zone, the play is dead, it's brought out, change of possession goes to the other team, and it starts a down. So there's no return allowed, there's no contact allowed, the play immediately ends, and possession's awarded to the other team. And so anytime there's a kick that goes and lands in the end zone, you have that change of possession and the end of a play. And so that's why you see the officials blowing the whistle and stopping the play at that point in time. Even though a kid may catch a ball in the end zone, we had 2 years ago against Lawton, a kid catch a ball on a field goal, and his foot was on the goal line. He returned it 100 yards for a touchdown, and they negated that return because his foot was on the end line, and they went back and conferred as a crew and confirmed that his foot was on the end line, which at that point in time was a touchback, and the play was over. Now, he wished they would have made that call before he ran 100 yards, and I didn't like the call very much because I initially thought they were wrong, and on video they were right. It was the right call, but that was a touchback.
Very good.
Yeah.
That's our Chalk Talk segment for today. Now we need to move into Friday night's ball game. The Guthrie Blue Jays come to town, and they have an appearance at D. Bruce Selby Stadium. Coach, I've seen a time for kickoff at 7 p.m.
Correct.
Okay, because in the olden days it was 8 o'clock, and then they've moved them up early. I just want to make sure we get everybody out there. I know the stadium holds 8,700 seats, so we want everybody to be there at 7 o'clock.
Yep.
Guthrie Blue Jays, they won state in 2002, 2007, 2011, and 2013.
Yeah.
So there is a little tradition there.
There sure is.
Of finding some ball players for the Blue Jays. They're coming to town. What else do you know about Guthrie?
Defensively, they play a 5-2, a lot of man coverage behind it, very, very aggressive. Their goal is to get to the quarterback in 1.7 to 2 seconds, and whether he throws it or not, get some type of lick on him. So that's their philosophy, kind of a Buddy Ryan rattle the quarterback. You may get a big play every now and then, but by the end of the game, it'll take its toll. Offensively, they are very much a run-based offense. Quarterback run game is very important to them, so you'll see their quarterback run the football quite a bit, but they're going to control the clock by running the football, hoping to limit the other team's snaps by taking time off the clock when they run it, and then they'll use the play action to throw the football off of that. And so they're predictable, but that's the reason they're good. Because what they do well. They've done it for years. It's the same scheme pretty much that they've done in 2013 when they won it. They continue to do it because it's worked well for them, and their kids know it and execute it at a very high level. So I anticipate a very tough physical football game Friday night.
And it was a game last year that was at Guthrie, but it was in a rainstorm, it seemed like, and it was just a fumble that they picked up and went back for a score. I mean, weather-wise, it was just a real mess. But it looks like drier weather's coming for this week.
Yeah, and then playing it on the turf really negates a lot of that as well. Their grass there, they keep it pretty long, which kind of slows the game down. And we're cutting that turf short this week. We're gonna make it as fast as we can.
Well, the stadium at Guthrie's been there since the land run. I even played on that field 100 years ago, so that's how dated that is.
It's a beautiful. I love the stadium, the Public Works. It's really a neat place to play.
It's a nice piece of history.
Sure
Coach, we need to take our final time out and have some closing comments. And in so doing, we're going to learn more about some of the other Plainsmen football players right now.
Tyler Thompson, number 78, O-line, and I'm in class of 2019.
My name is Dustin Chase. I'm number 41. Play defensive end, and I'm a senior.
My name is Jay-Sean Gardner-Sears. I'm number 6. I play wide receiver and corner, and I'm going to be a senior.
My name is Ariyan Levy. My number is 36. I play defensive lineman, class of 2019.
My name is Doffer. I'm number 64. I'm a D-end, and I'm class of 2020. My name is Cameron Arrington, number 17, wide receiver, class of 2019.
Thank you for staying with us for Plainsmen Football 2017 with Steve and Steve. Coach Steve Hayes in his third year at the helm of Enid Plainsmen Football. Coach, I notice each year you have an emphasis besides the X and O's that you see on the chalkboard, but you also have a tremendous emphasis on character building. And I think that's what a lot of people in the community, when they speak to me about you behind your back, it's about the character emphasis that you had.
Sure.
And you have a theme last year, I think, is We Don't Get Tired, but this year your theme is Leave a Legacy. Tell us about how you come up with this Leave a Legacy mindset.
Well, the kids chose that after we finished the Fort Hays State camp. We had lunch together, and the kids worked on it, decided that's what they wanted the theme to be this year, which I love. It's a great goal. And the fact of the matter is everybody leaves a legacy, good or bad, when they come together like a team does. And so we want to leave a good one.
So, Coach, how does that weave into the weekly practice?
Well, I mean,
it's nice phrase, nice words, but how does that weave in the Monday through Friday?
It really, at the end of the day, it's how do you want to be remembered and what contribution do you want to make that will last a long time? For example, this week we're really emphasizing the fact that Enid hasn't beaten Guthrie since 2010. And so, one of the legacy that our team wants to leave is changing that and making the last time we beat Guthrie this year. And so that number changes. It also has to do with, reaching down to the freshmen and the middle school kids and pouring our tradition and values into them as seniors and juniors on our football team. So when those kids play 4 or 5 years from now, they can see their fingerprints on the field still, even though they've graduated and maybe even graduated from college at that time. So it's a sustained tradition, long-term mentality for a program and a culture.
Coach, I know your first year here 3 years ago, you introduced some character quality aspects into football. And some of the key words, as I'll read those, make sure I get them right: integrity, mental toughness, discipline, accountability, and love one another. Tell us about those key words.
Those are qualities that our team picked 2 years ago as being important to them in defining our program, and we've continued to sustain those. What we've done is we've named each day of the week after each quality. So Monday's Integrity Monday. Our definition as a team of integrity is trusted to always do your best. whether you're out on the weekend, whether you're at practice, whether you're in the classroom, whether you're at home with your family. We have to be able to trust you to always do your best if you're going to be a man of integrity and say that you have integrity. Tuesdays is Mental Toughness Tuesdays. Wednesdays is Discipline Wednesdays. Thursdays is Accountability Thursday, and Friday is Love One Another Friday. Each one of those terms have a definition that we talk about. We're actually going to do a character lesson on each one of these issues once a week for the next 5 weeks. This is Integrity Week, and so the kids will do their character emphasis on integrity this week.
Very good. Coach, we have just a couple minutes left. Again, Guthrie's coming to town this Friday night, 7 p.m. kickoff at D. Bruce Selby Stadium. What is the word to Mom and Dad and the grandparents and all the Plainsmen football fans as we kick off the 2017 season? You got a minute or so to talk to everybody and say, come on out.
Yeah. I really encourage you to come on out because I think you're going to see a team that really cares about being successful, that has it really in the forefront of their mind that they want to be a playoff football team this year, that they want to win in the playoffs, and they want to be remembered as the kind of the team but put Enid back on the map as far as a competitive football program. And, people can say that, but you have to work to accomplish it. And since last November, our kids have worked so hard to be that team. We have 8 kids that have started at least 3 years. I will be their third year starting, and so they've been through kind of the tough seasons the last 2 years and recognize as a senior this is their opportunity to really make a difference. And so I think you're going to see a really special brand of Enid football this year.
Coach Steve Hayes, I certainly enjoyed our time that we get to spend each week and getting to know you better. And I'm really excited about our new set. With our new set comes a new season and new expectations. And we appreciate you joining us for Plainsmen Football with Steve and Steve for 2017. I want to say special thanks again to our friends at On Deck for helping us out. Now, Coach Hayes, they provided us the Nebraska helmet for Kareem Sears.
Correct. Yeah, as a coach on staff. That's right. And you had another coach that played for Tulsa, I thought. We've had several kids that have played for Tulsa, including Clint Shelf most recently.
And Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State, yeah. Tulsa, Cody Cook, I think, is the one that played for Tulsa. And then
we've had Lydell Carr and
P.J. Mills play for OU. Right. And so a lot of great tradition and history.
Austin Box as well.
Austin Box, that's right.
Coach, we got to go. We'll see you at kickoff, Plainsmen Football. And I want to say special thanks to Penn Klein, A.J. Wells, and also Dane Tate for their work behind the scenes for Plainsmen Football with Steve and Steve 2017. We'll see you Friday night as Guthrie Blue Jays come to town to play the Enid Plainsmen. Have a good week, everyone.
Thank you for watching Enid Plainsmen Football with Steve and Steve on ETN.
Go.